What's up, guys? It's interesting in crypto today because XRP, good news, altcoins going up, Bitcoin going up a little bit, the Bitcoin dominance going down, and everybody is talking about a potential bull market, alt season, whatever. Let me share my thoughts on this. Now, first, right, it's interesting how news follows the price, right? We have been talking about the fact that if you look, for example, at the Bitcoin dominance, like I said, we talked about the fact that, it was ranging here and that this was an area where a lot of rejection might come in. And we got a perfect rejection right here, which also lined up, of course, with the fact that if you take the total altcoin market, so the total 3, and you divide it by the Bitcoin market, and this is what you get. Right, so here altcoins are very cheap against Bitcoin. Here you should definitely sell your altcoins for Bitcoin. Well, altcoins were holding up pretty well compared to Bitcoin when it comes to a complete bear market, basically, except for this year. Since beginning this year, we have really seen that altcoins are finally losing and they are crashing really hard. And once we took this Fibonacci tool over it, right, we started at the bottom range and we took it all the way up here. You'll see that the 0.5 and the 0.618 is the golden zone, right? Whatever direction you go, the golden zone is basically an area where you always want to get in or get out, depending on the direction, and which is a big area. Now look exactly where we bounce. It's like perfectly right here. Right, we already said we might see a bounce right here. It's not for no reason. We had resistance here. We had a lot of support here. We had resistance here, almost in this direction as well. And now here as well. So this was a long time coming. All right, this was already coming. And now the news is, of course, that Ripple won the lawsuit, which is very good for XRP and also for crypto in general. And that happened, and that made sure that this move finally played out. Now, like you know me, I've made this channel in the bear market, right? So I have not been talking about basically anything else than bearish things, because, why being bullish in a bear market? So a lot of people might be a little confused and think like, oh, Fomotion, you're a big crypto bear or an altcoin bear. I'm really not. I'm really not. But being bullish in a bear market is like not that smart, right? I'm still under the impression, though, that this is still going down, right? Like I said before, and I've drawn it a couple of videos back, but I removed the drawing, but look it up, is that we probably go down, retest, right? Go up here. Then maybe we even go up all the way here and then continue our way down. This is not changed yet. So what I would like to discuss is the bullish case scenario for altcoins and the bearish case scenario for altcoins. I've been talking a lot about the bearish case. And like that's not the only possible outcome, of course. So let's talk about both scenarios and just see what's most realistic, or what are at least the possibilities that is going to happen with crypto right now. So let's look at Bitcoin and let's look at the altcoin market and let's see what we find. Now, what I've been saying a lot, and let's start with the bearish case scenario and then move up to the bullish case scenario. So Bitcoin was in this downwards trend since the bear market started over here in November 2021, right? We got rejected right here. We got rejected right here. We broke out here, had a perfect retest, and we moved our way up. Now, if I let me remove this, so let me show it like this. So let's take a look at the bull market support band in this case, which is the red and green line. Now, the bull market support band is 20 and the 21 weekly moving average, and that shows if an asset is basically in a bull market or in a bear market, right? If you want to take it over the really longer term. Now, in the bear market, that bull market support band is really holding it down, right? We break below it. We try to reclaim. We can't. We fail. We go way low. We try again, go way lower. When we got back up there, again, rejection, go way lower. That pushed us all the way from here to here. Now, we broke it in January. We had a perfect retest here in March, right? Also already kind of in February, but here in March. We went way higher. We had some retests right here in June, and we got way higher again. So Bitcoin is hovering above the bull market support band for a long time already. If you now take a look at the total 3, the altcoin market, you'll see something similar, right? And let me remove these drawings as well to make it a little more clear that the chart isn't that messy or anything. There we go. So what we see in the altcoin market is kind of the same thing, right? We were in this in this downwards trend right here. We got a rejection, a rejection, a rejection, a rejection, right? And the first thing is that, well, Bitcoin broke out of that in January, right? The altcoin market, however, we tried to break out of it here in April, but we didn't. Right, we were all the way down here in December, and when Bitcoin had a very decent run as well from the end of the year to January, basically, what the altcoin market did, look, while Bitcoin did that, we went from the downside to the upside and broke out. In the altcoin market, however, we went from the downside to the upside eventually, a lot later though, in April, but we got rejected and we fell all the way back down. Now, however, we have a clear breakout, right? We have a clear breakout. And we are above the bull market support band. But I do want to say this. We also had a breakout right here, right? And nevertheless, we went back in it. So it doesn't necessarily already mean that we will stay above this. But I must say, especially next week, if we want to fall back in it, then the altcoin market has to fall at least like 15%. Now, we have seen crazier moves, so it's not impossible. So keep in mind that it's still possible for the altcoin market to have another fake out just like this and go back in it. Now, it also goes for the bull market support band. That's the problem with this thing. One, we don't know how sustainable this move is, right? Might be a fake out and it turns out to be one big wick, right? Just a wick. Like we, maybe do I have a good example? I don't know, something like this, right? Where we have mostly a wick. We went all the way from here to here. People thought the week was going great, and at the end of the day, we ended up all the way down here, right? That stuff happens, all right? That kind of stuff that happens, all right? So I want to see how that plays out, though. But it looks to me, in this case, like a pretty decent retest on the weekly, right? We broke out. Next week, we retested it perfectly on the trend line, and now we're pretty much way above it. Nevertheless, we are sitting at some big resistance if you look at the horizontal in this complete area over here. So the altcoin market really has to push right now because there is a lot of resistance going on in this area right here. So that's the bearish case for altcoins. Also, if I look at the Bitcoin dominance, if I want to see what the bearish case for altcoins might be right now, is kind of like I said, and I lean towards that, I mostly think that is this. If you look at what the Bitcoin dominance is doing, so for the people that don't know, if you want to see an alt season, you want to see the Bitcoin dominance going down very hard, right? That's an alt season. Well, at first, if I look at this chart, I do feel like if we all really want to be happy with a big alt season, then the dominance has to go up first, because only after it went up, it can go down very hard. Even if we do this, it's technically called an alt season, but it would be a very small alt season, right? And I already know Twitter will be full of it, like alt season. It's like, it will be bullish for altcoins, though, really. And especially if Bitcoin also goes up while this happens, then altcoins will really go up. But I don't know. To be a little more bearish, before I will start with the bullish case, if we look at Bitcoin in the pre-halving year, and that's what I talked about a lot, so I don't want to make this too long. But we are 1 year after the hard bear market, and we are 1 year before the halving, right? What happens all the time? Bear market, and here's the halving, right? We are now in this between part right here. What always happens, and here as well, bear market, halving, and we are now in this between part. What always happens, we find a bottom, we go up very hard. Here we went from 3K to 14K, right? That's a 4x, more than a 4x, and people there really thought like, oh, bull market. And what ended up happening, we almost made a double bottom, right? Here as well, we made a double bottom. We made a slightly low, right? Here in this cycle so far, we did not had that correction yet. That always happens in the second part of the year, right? So we don't know yet how far we can go down, right? Maybe it's not that like crazy, right? Maybe you can say, oh, the pre-halving year also has diminishing losses, right? Here we made a slightly low. Here we made a slightly higher low. Could it be that we make a real high low and we just go to $22,000? That could be a thing. All in all, I do think that if we look at the dominance, that it's very likely that we go down more, right? That this move for altcoins on their Bitcoin pair especially is not over yet, and we go a little higher. That we go down and we test this 49%, maybe 47 point something. We hover here again, and that we then move our way up again. If you are bullish on altcoins, and if you are rooting for altcoins, then what you want to see is that the Bitcoin dominance goes down below at least 47.7%, give or take, right? And that we fall back in this range right here, because this range is where we have been in for 2 years, since May 2021, and in the real breakout in May, June 2023, we broke out, right? So we've been there for a long while, and this is huge resistance, right? But it's often the case that past resistance is future support, and past support is future resistance, right? But if you're rooting for altcoins, then you want this to fall back in here, and that we hover again, right? And then this move, you can call that a small alt season. I, however, don't know, because what we see with the Bitcoin dominance right now, as well, if we take a look at the bull market support band, and let me get the extended version that predicts that if we, stay at around this level, where the bull market support band will go, and that will be this. So what I think is very likely to happen, though, is that the dominance will go down maybe a little bit more, but that we will bounce here, because not only we have this huge 2-year, multiple year support right now, but also that's exactly where the bull market support band comes in. And since we broke out, since our way up, we broke above the bull market support band, 1 retest, 2 retests. Here, basically another retest. Here, almost another retest. And now it's just another move down for another retest. So far, that looks like that, right? But it's, I don't know. It's like mostly then, I don't know. It's like altcoins are gaining a little steam right now, and everybody is now like, oh, altcoins. You must not forget that altcoins got very wrecked, and they get a little unwrecked right now. Right, but overall, we're still sitting way higher on the dominance than that we have ever been in the last 2 years, right? The only thing that happened right now is we have saw a like 4% retest so far. After a, where's that wick? After a 33% climb, right? So now, again, if you take a look at the total tree divided by the Bitcoin market cap, that does the other way around, right? It's probably doing something like this in that case, right? Go up, and that's where we have the bull market support band as resistance, also coming in quite perfectly with this 0.618 on the Fibonacci, 0.5, sorry, on the Fibonacci, right? So it might be, and it could also be the case that we just now do this. It could be that we stay here for a long time. Look what happened last cycle. We were that low, like we were here, shot all the way up, like we did here, stayed there for a while. Here we stayed there longer, nevertheless. At the end of the day, we came down very hard, right? And when did that happen, by the way? July 2018. Okay, interesting. Also July, but that's maybe a little conspiracy shit. Nevertheless, what we did is we came down here, we bounced, right? We had these fake outs in between, but you know, all in all, we bounced at this level for a long time. We came here in July 2018, and in May 2019, we continued our way down, right? So almost 1 year, we stayed here. Could it be, right, that we now stay here for a year and then move our way down again like we did over here? So far, this was very predictable, right? So it's what's been playing out. And even here, we broke out to the upside. So, you know, therefore I say, like, it could be that we will go up here somewhere and that altcoins really will do well against Bitcoin just before they continue their way down. That's my, well, that's not like even the bearish case scenario, but that's like more like the, so far that's always been playing out case scenario, right? Like I don't really see this small pump right here. And it's like, yeah, XRP pumped like 100% or so. Nevertheless, this is a small pump, right? This is not much compared to the complete move that we had. But we are so used now to going down, that such a green candle gets everybody hyped and think it's a bull market, and that we have an alt season and all of that. Yeah, we saw these candles multiple times in this bear market, and they all made sure that after that we found lower lows as well. So why is this candle so different, right? It's also funny, like, if you look at XRP in this case, let me show you XRP real quick. And where's XRP on its Bitcoin pair? Look, it's a beautiful candle, right? It's a beautiful candle. But if you look at what XRP is doing, it's interesting. It's quite interesting, right? Because if you, I don't even, well, forgive the not perfect line, but you know, it's a pretty huge range, right? So what's interesting to me is this. XRP has been, you know, doing this, and it came down hard on its Bitcoin pair, right? And basically since March 2021, it's been stuck in this range, right? For 2.5 years. And what happens all the single time is that it goes to the upside, it goes to the downside, it goes to the upside, it goes to the downside, now goes to the upside. But people about XRP, they are calling so long for this lawsuit, like wait for the lawsuit to be over. Well, the lawsuit is over and they won, which is a big accomplishment. But the chart did nothing else than what it also did right here when they were in the middle of the lawsuit, or here, or here, or here, right? The chart doesn't show victory at all, right? I mean, like I said, XRP did the same thing multiple times the last couple of years. And that was when they were in the middle of the lawsuit and when the news wasn't so bullish. Now there is bullish news. And they did even take this out. Or this. Yeah, in the fake out. But, right, like, so I feel like, okay, then what does it take for XRP to really break out? It's weird. It's like, and it's not, well, it's not because of XRP, but that's just because of the crypto market in general, right? That's just because of the fact that the Bitcoin dominance is now that high. And that's kind of a bummer for people in XRP, right? Because the Bitcoin dominance went so high that when finally XRP on its dollar went up, that it's still ranging on its Bitcoin pair, right? So all in all, you know, you still are better off buying Bitcoin than XRP. Like, and it sounds like, oh man, FOMO, you always find a reason to complain. Not really. I don't want to find this necessarily, but it just stands out to me that it's just like this. It's funny to me. Anyway, if I take a look at the total three again, I do feel like, yeah, okay, we really want to see the altcoin market keep on pushing right now, and we have coins now that finally show some strength. But it's also funny that like I've got some comments like yeah, don't listen to this guy, altcoins go. But you know, the thing is that I've been calling for altcoins to go down for a year now or so, right? And it's been playing out for a year, right? And now it's finally showing some strength. And then I already get the comments like, oh, you were wrong. Like, no, it's like, of course it bounces along the way, but it doesn't change the real long-term outlook necessarily. If we look, Solana is doing insane, right? At least it looks like it's doing insane. Let me put it like that. If people look at Solana, they see such a pump from $12 to $28, 117% move. Incredible. Yeah, we also saw this a couple of months ago, right? Where it had a 240% move. And what happened? It still went down, right? So don't cheer too soon. And also, if you look at Solana on its Bitcoin pair, this is interesting now, but still not really convincing. Because if you look at Solana Bitcoin, one thing has obviously changed, right? And that that it broke out of its downwards trend right here. We still want to see that it actually is not a fake out. Therefore, if you wake up and you look at such a chart, don't really come to a conclusion right away, right? Because it could still be a fake out, go back in it, and then continue its way down, right? So wait, see how the week ends. Maybe 2-3 weeks of confirmation above this level, but still then, if I look at Solana, I feel like, okay, high, lower high, lower high, well, yeah, lower high, lower high, and it's still a lower high, right? So it did not change yet. The only thing that has changed is that it finally made a higher low. So Solana is finally, after 2 years, worth looking into, in my opinion. And I'm not saying, buy Solana now at $28. And it doesn't matter. Yeah, it was at $12. It was even at $7, right? But even that $7 in December 2022, look here, it was December 2022. That was here. On its Bitcoin pair, it went cheaper. It went cheaper, except for this wick here then. But on its Bitcoin pair, it even went cheaper. So it's not that you have missed the bottom for Solana. If you were in Bitcoin, you were making money, right? And you made more. Right, so I now really want to see how this plays out first, right? And what's now interesting for me to take a look at is if it comes down, then it might be interesting to load up on some Solana maybe, right? And that would be around, I think this is around 30% lower or so. Yeah, 30% lower. If it keeps on pushing, cool. But here is buying resistance. What I actually want to see is that it confirms a higher high as well, which is here. Which is a big level as well, because that's exactly kind of where an horizontal is sitting as well, right? If you put a line here, right, you'll see this resistance, you see this support, you see this resistance, but this is also the last high that we had. And this is a move up about 35% on its Bitcoin pair, right? But I'd rather buy it 30% higher there than now. Why? Because then it's actually confirmed that the downtrend, as we finally know it, is over. Otherwise, you're just buying a fake out and you can go way down again. Yeah, then you might just wait until it goes down, right? Strategically playing, please. Otherwise, still dangerous, right? And especially now, a lot of people on Twitter and YouTube, they will say bull market and alt season. It's easy to think that when we have these kind of moves, right? But let's be honest, we had these kind of moves a lot in this bear market. And every single time it was for a different reason. But every single time we kept on going lower though. Again, as well, with AVAX, for example, just a random example, right? You might look at this chart and be like, oh, bottom, double bottom. So perfect buying opportunity, right? But if you look at its Bitcoin pair, then you'll just see that there's not a double bottom. The last bottom was a way lower low, right? So it's still like, and especially this coin, like really weak at the moment. Like low lows, lower highs, under its bull market support band, a lot of room to fall whenever the Bitcoin dominance goes up again. So this is not, this move that we have just seen is not like really bullish for altcoins necessarily yet, but it's more like, altcoins really needed it. Otherwise, we had a long way down to go because there is no more support, right? And it now finally gives altcoins a little room, right? If the Bitcoin dominance keeps on going up now, right? Well, AVAX at least has 20% room to go down, which is not nearly enough. But at least we get some room right now to breathe. That's kind of the thing that I'm looking at. Yeah, and I also look at, for example, altcoins on their, or Bitcoin on their altcoin pair, right? For example, people looking at, I don't know, DOT. And you might feel like, oh yeah, DOT, let's take a look at this DOT. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, you could have bought it here and people buy the dips, buy the dips, buy the dips. Well, yeah, if you take a look, how is Bitcoin doing against DOT? Well, if you bought Bitcoin with your DOT, you are now up 5x, 6x basically, right? So was it really that good? I don't know. There is, of course, like, I want to wrap it up, but I kind of threw it all in one. But there is this bullish case scenario as well for the altcoin market, right? And the bullish case scenario is what's kind of that it does this, right? So this is the altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair, and the bullish case is that we bounce here. And yeah, for some reason, I don't really see it happen though, but for some reason we break this resistance right here, right? And we go back up right here. It feels really weird to say that because I really don't believe in this though. But it's not impossible. I mean, crypto does the unexpected, of course. That's what we know, right? But it breaks this Fibonacci tool level, this huge resistance over here, this bull market support band, then we have this resistance, and I don't know. But I can see it happen though, that at least, some liquidity is now finally going back from Bitcoin into altcoins. Lately, a lot of people have been putting their altcoin money into Bitcoin, and that's what we have seen. I think now that everybody can breathe a little bit with the securities and all of that, regulations and all, that people feel like, okay, now it's a little more safe to buy altcoins again. But eventually the market does what the market does. And if you look at the total too, so everything except Bitcoin, then you will see that it's now, look, I don't know when I've drawn this, but it's kind of right here, right? And it's not a, like, I need to see a confirmed breakout. This is now pushing resistances, right? It's all pushing resistances. And that's where people usually get bullish. They feel like, oh yeah, now it's going up, so now let's buy. And people buy right at resistance, and then we go down. I mean, it's great news for the for Ripple, and therefore for the altcoin market as well. But still, like we said at the beginning, we have the charts that suggest something, and then the news follows. And that's what we actually see. So it's funny how that lines up. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, also quite interesting. This chart is kind of showing the direction for altcoins, basically, and this has been going down since September. So even if Ethereum goes up another 8% on its Bitcoin pair, right? Still a lower high, right? So we had high, we had a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Well, not really, but high, lower high, lower high, to put it like that. We have lower lows, right? And that's so far what's happening. So yeah, like I've drawn, like, it could still do this. And then it might break out. but it can also break to the downside. I'm still leaning towards being, well, long term. With long term, I mean like in 2 years. Of course, bullish on alts, on crypto in general. Midterm, like the rest of this year, maybe beginning next year, bearish. And short term, I don't know-ish. It could go anywhere, and yeah, I don't really care, because like I said before, like this channel is about investing and not about trading. So it doesn't really matter for me. What's quite funny, by the way, the DXY already tanked before the Ripple news came out, so some people are front running. That's quite, and the S&P is going insane towards new highs, by the way, but that should be a sign as well, right? I mean, last thing to wrap it up, we have the S&P really getting towards its highs, right? We have the Nasdaq, same story, almost at its highs, on a crazy run, right? And then we have the altcoin market, which is just stuck here. It finally had a push, but it's like not coming somewhere. So I feel like, okay, what does it take for the macro to make the altcoin market to finally go up? And what happens if the macro finally corrects, right? Because this chart can't go on forever. So what happens, right? I would have thought that we will go down here already. We didn't. But at some point we will. Might be here, might be at the high, might be at a higher high, right? But what happens when we finally go down, and maybe not necessarily all the way here, but how do you think then that crypto will look like? I don't know. It's just a thought. It's good to be bullish when the market is showing some bullish things, but treat it with caution, really, because yeah, this is not the first time we had such a trap, and it might be that. So yeah, these are just my 2 cents right here. And well, let me know what you think about it. Like the video if you like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notification. See you tomorrow. By the way, I'll make a part 2 of responding to your comments. So see you then.